Hello and welcome back. We ended our last discussion with gratitude. Education of the children should start with gratitude. This was the first point that has to be implemented in our new education policy. But how to instill this gratitude? So to understand this, our exploration of Scandinavian countries and especially the education system in Finland began. Why Finland? We have a good reason. Finland was devastated with constant war with Soviet Union and from the world wars. During the 1960s, a survey carried out showed that the country with least literacy rate was Finland. So educational reforms in Finland started from 1970s, and in the last 10 years, Finland has the world's best literacy rate, highest per capita income, and above all, it is rated as the world's most happiest and the most prosperous country. So we had reasons to believe that Finland has the world's best education system. So when we started to explore more about it, we came across some astonishing facts which I want to share it today. When we compare our education system with the Finland education system, the major difference we found that was in our education system we had boards like NCERT, CBSE, etc. who prescribe syllabus and tell the teachers and students what to study in each class. We now knew what to study, but failed to answer the other two most important questions in education. That is, why to study and how to study. So when we learn or teach something, we have to answer three questions of learning. Why you have to learn, what you have to learn, and how you have to learn. And let us now take the first question. Why should we study those syllabus or subject? Why should we learn? Well, here is where gratitude comes into the picture. We actually created a survey on questioning every student about why he needs to learn. In India, the answer we got was that the students say, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a pilot, etc., etc. And this is why I want to study. But actually, the idea behind why to study should not be triggered by to become something which we are not today. But it should be triggered by the idea that I want to explore something that I do not know. When the same question was asked to Finland children, they told, I need education because I want to learn something. I want to know something which I do not know. Whereas in India, children answered, I need education because I want to become something which I am not. So this shift in attitude for this question, why to learn, from want to become something to want to know something, is key in the initial stages of education. Gratitude starts with the idea that the universe we are born and the life we are given is a wonderful gift by God. It is a miracle happening every day. The universe is a beautifully automated miraculous system where there are no place for errors. When due to hot weather, the earth gets heated up, clouds gets automatically formed and it rains to cool down the earth. We see a bird fly, and how does it fly? Why do aeroplane crashes but we never hear a bird crashing to a wall or crashing with one another and die? Bees, flies and butterflies fly at the speed of 200 kilometers per hour and still they never crash or never get hit by any object. How is this possible? So our education in children should start with building this curiosity. They should be made to feel that they are in a magical world and let us explore this magical and this beautiful, wonderful world. This concept of education in Finland is the building block behind they being the world's most happiest nation. So now, apart from what to learn, we now need to explain children why to learn. This role is now played by the teachers. Teaching any concept or any subject should start with the everyday miracles we see in our life. It should instill gratitude in child for having given an opportunity to enjoy this miracle and then it should start exploring it. So now we got the answer for why to learn. Now the next question is how to learn. Well, in our education system, we are teaching children by classroom system, and this is just one form of learning mechanism. In Finland, we were told that learning happens not by classroom. Classroom learning is just one form of learning, which they call it as learning by word. But there are other 4 types of learning, and they were learning by feeling, learning by questioning, learning by comparing, and learning by logical thinking. So we then asked them the source of their study on this wonderful learning system that they have adapted. And here we were subjected to a huge surprise. We were presented with a photocopy of an old manuscript, and they told us all their learning system was derived from these manuscripts. And that manuscript was named as Pramanas. So the answer to all these 3 questions, how to learn, why to learn, and what to learn, were all hidden in these manuscripts. The educationists in Finland laughed at us and told, the root of the world's best education system lies in the huge unexplored old manuscript which we have obtained from the land of India. Instead of searching for a world-class education system in the whole world, go back to your country and explore this manuscript, and you will get the answer to all your questions. So after all this research and explorations, the final answer for building a world-class education system is present right in our land, hidden in the form of many documents like Pramanas. And so we started to explore first what actually is this Pramanas. Well, then we came to know that this Pramana is made up of 2 Sanskrit words. Pra means outward or future, and mana means measurement. So we then explored from where did this Pramanas come from, which inspired the Scandinavian education system and the world's best education system. Well, there was no date or scripture available about the exact date and when was this written. All we came to know was that this Pramanas was a part of the learning methodology adapted in ancient India, and that learning methodology was called as Meemamsa. So what is Meemamsa? The word is from India, but the meaning we got was from another English author called Arthur Anthony Macdonnell. See, here the interesting fact we found out was that Arthur Anthony Macdonnell was 100 times more learned and qualified in the education field than Thomas Macaulay. However, since he was not a politician and since he was not with the government, he and his learning methodology was never popular in India. But Scandinavian countries like Finland and Sweden took this learning and methodology from Germany and adapted it in their nation to build the world's best education system. So, according to Arthur Anthony Macdonnell, Mimamsa means the ability to think. Macdonnell was a German scholar, but he was actually born in Muzaffarpur in the Tirat region of India. He was the son of a British general in the Indian army. He was fascinated by various manuscripts that was available to him in India. These manuscripts were stored in temples as a sacred document. These documents were worshipped, but they were never opened and read. So with curiosity, he got a hold on this manuscript, and to understand it, he studied Sanskrit. Later he moved to Germany and translated most of the work in our manuscript into English, and was the first to publish Sanskrit to English dictionary in Germany to help other fellow researchers understand these manuscripts. Even today, the original manuscript of this Meemamsa, which is a part of our Vedanta Indian learning system, lies in the libraries of Germany. Now let us come back to Pramanas. And we found that in this ancient learning methodology, the question of how to learn is answered with 6 techniques of learning. And these 6 techniques are Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, Artapati, anupalabdhi and Shabda. Let us first take Pratyaksha. Pratyaksha is a system of learning where the learner or student learns by his practical experience with the senses. So when the child first experiences the bright light in the morning and when everything turns dark in the night, he feels this change through the senses and understands that there will be a specific hours of light and specific hours of dark when there is no light. This learning he has experienced is called as Pratyaksha learning. So Pratyaksha learning means learning through what we feel through our senses. Now the second pramana of learning is anumana. As a human, we have a unique ability to question why something is happening. Initially, when the child during the day comes out and sees the sun, with sun it understands it is experiencing light. And when sun sets and it turns dark, it comes out and sees there is no sun in the sky, but now it sees the moon. So now the child relates its feeling of day and night to the presence and absence of sun and moon. By this, it comes to a conclusion that day and night are caused by sun and moon. This knowledge that the child acquires by analyzing what it feels and what it sees is called as learning by anumana. The third form of learning is called as Upamana and it means learning from comparisons. Now, when the child sees that when the sun goes away and it becomes dark, we switch on a bulb and from that bulb we get light and it illuminates his room. Now the child compares the sun it sees in the morning to the electric bulb. With this comparison, it draws to a conclusion that the sun is the natural electric bulb that is present in the nature and man has made a smaller version of that sun and he is using it to illuminate things in night. So here the child learns that electric bulb and sun are the source of light that is needed for us to see. This learning comes to the child from comparing sun with the electric bulb. This kind of learning from comparing two similar concepts or things with one another is called as Upamana. Learning from examples or similarities is called as Upamana. Now comes the fourth system of learning which we call as Artapati. This learning is called as factual extrapolation. To give the meaning of this word, here we are going to predict what happens in future by the experience we have from the other 3 stages of learning. In English, we call this as hypothesis. For example, after a recent excavation in Sinoli, the oldest ever calendar now available in the world is from India and it is dated back to 12,000 BC. This calendar had 12 months and 354 days, and to adjust the 354 days to 365 days, every 30 months an extra month is added. And all these were precisely predicted 14,000 years back. And this is the power of learning our ancient Indians had through this system of Artapati. Now coming back to child example, in the daytime the child sees suddenly the brightness of sun reduces and he sees clouds coming around in the sky. Then after the cloud comes, then there will be heavy winds. And after heavy winds, the child for the first time, it will experience rain. Now when the child experiences this through Pratyaksha, it then logically reasons it out using anumana and then through Upamana compares the rain to its bathroom shower. Finally, it comes to a conclusion that whenever I see clouds in the sky and if the wind blows, then in a few minutes I am going to experience rain. And if it loves shower, it will then immediately run out to enjoy rain. And if it is afraid of shower, it will run inside the house. So this ability of the child to predict what it is going to feel in future is what we call as arthapatti. Artapati is a very important stage in children education. For example, when we light a candle, an ignorant small child first touches it and feels the heat. The next time, whenever it sees that flame in any other form, like in a gas stove or in some diya, the child will know clearly that if I touch it, my hand will burn and it will not touch it. And this logical thinking comes from arthapatti. Then the fifth form of learning is called as anupalabdhi. And this is a very skillful way of learning and needs a very great reasoning power. Here things are learned by negative conclusions. For example, when the child can see stars only in the night and not in the day, it experiences anupalabdhi form of learning and comes to a conclusion that absence of sun brings stars in the night. So learning by thinking about what is missing or what it does not see is called as anupalabdhi. The illusion of ghost, for example, the discovery of atom itself is from the process of anupalabdhi. And finally, after learning from Pratyaksha, anumana, Upamana, arthapatti and anupalabdhi, the final type of learning is shabda. Here the child learns by listening to what his parents and other peoples have experienced. According to Indian mythology, learning is a huge ocean and we are a small fish in it. How much ever you try in your lifetime, you cannot drink the entire ocean water. And similarly, we can only learn a millionth of fraction of information in our lifetime. So we make use of the experiences of learning of our predecessors, and based on those learning, we continue our learning. And this learning process is called as shabda. So out of these 6 types of learning, the only type of learning that we have incorporated in our education system till today is shabda. Actually, according to Pramanas, the first 5 ways of learning, Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, Artapati, Anupalabdhi, are the ways of learning which has to be developed by an individual in himself. Learning through these 5 skills are called as self-learning. In our education system, we have only Shabda way of learning, and where children learn only by hearing, reading or seeing what others say about their experiences. Now, incorporating these 5 self-learning techniques in the students is the biggest challenge in the new education system. Teachers play a very key role in implementing these self-learning concepts. Now the question is how to incorporate it and what is the role of the teachers in this motive? Well, to understand it, we should first understand the evolution of education system in human beings. Do you know how the education system evolved in this world? Or do you know how the education system first started in this world? Well, it started with the river Ganga. What is the relationship between knowledge and Ganga? Let us explore this with our next session. Thank you.